What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RC's Gateway to Comics. Today we are going to talk about genre blending. Now, this is something that has seemed to be a bit more prevalent nowadays because people are coming up with stories that pull from multiple different genres to make one story. And this is something that is certainly true with my 5 books, the Red Sky series. So, whenever I was creating the story for the first book, A Red Sky is Upon Us, I wanted to tell a pirate story. And I wanted this story to be set in what could be considered a historical environment. So, this is what sort of started out as a historical fiction book. Obviously, the Pirates of the Red Sky and Captain Riggs never actually existed. None of the characters in the first book actually existed. But that doesn't mean that it can't still have some historical accuracy. The time period of the story is around like 1710, and I tried to make it as historically accurate as possible with what colonies the English had in the States, and also what sort of what sort of ships there were, what sort of outfits they would have, their courting techniques, I guess you would say, and trying to make sure of all that stuff being accurate certainly lent itself to a historical fiction genre. But I also wanted to have the romance plot between Riggs and Julia. So the sort of like the sort of like the Beauty and the Beast sort of juxtaposition between the two, and having the pirate fall for the daughter of a Commodore is certainly a very interesting romance plot to have, because they both come from different, very, very different walks of life. And having to find ways to get them to see eye to eye, it was a very interesting task for me, and it was quite fun because I was able to have them in not a way that you would typically see like lovers fall for each other, because the whole romance plot starts off between the two whenever Riggs is actually causing a mutiny at the same time as raiding the ship that Julia's on. So you can see that there's instantly conflict there between the two. So they start off pretty much as enemies. And throughout the story, their interactions end up becoming much more personable and understanding, and they both show each other a different side of themselves that they weren't aware of. So, bringing the romance plot into a historical fiction book, it works extremely well because you can have a romance plot, or you can have a romance plot in pretty much any type of genre and have that be genre blending. But at that same time, I also wanted some fantasy elements into it. And whenever it comes to the fantasy elements, I wanted to add magic and mystical creatures and even some paranormal aspects to it. And whenever it came down to that, I had to add stuff like mermaids and ghosts of the sea, and even later on, certain legends that are very well known on the sea. And I'm going to leave that up to you guys to find out what exactly that is. I may have mentioned it on and off in a couple videos, but I think I'm going to leave that as a surprise for now. But safe to say that there is a lot of seafaring myths that I include in the Red Sky series, and I build upon them in my own way. And I find a way to have that be its own little world inside of a historical fiction piece with a romance plot scattered throughout it. And I find it to be very fun to write genre blending stories because it adds more intrigue for me as an author, and at least I hope it gives the reader more of a reason to come back. Because if they're not really a fan of historical fiction stuff, then they can come back for the magical aspects of the book. And if they're not really a fan of those, then they can come back for the romance plot. They can see where Riggs and Julia are going to be 5 books down the line. And having these different avenues for the readers to come back and see how these things are progressing, maybe seeing what myth of the sea or magical creature I'm going to introduce in the next book, or seeing what sort of historical figure is going to pop their head in and say have like maybe a starring role in the story, or how their legend is being built. I have actually included in my stories some actual historical figures, and in the 3rd book is whenever that gets most prevalent in sort of making my own historical conspiracy. That's the only way that I can really put it. But it's something that is intriguing because it could be accurate to history. Probably not, but it's something that it pulls upon the details that are already available, and it makes a story out of it that is possible, but not entirely accurate. It's something that could fit in with the time period in history that it was. And I found it to be extremely fun to do that. But if that's not something that interests the reader, then they can just see that as part of the fantasy element, or something that is completely made up. That's the beauty of having these blended genre stories. You can have the stuff that is maybe actually accurate, and the reader won't care because they're here and they're paying attention to the other stuff. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be accurate, so long as it's entertaining. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed writing the Red Sky series so much. I am continually enjoying writing it because I have another volume coming. And it's the reason why I think that more people out there should consider coming up with more blended genre stories, because Lord knows they can be quite fun. What are you guys' thoughts on genre blended stories, and do you have any favorite blendings of genres that you can think of? I'm curious to hear those down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you more videos like this. Also, if you like pirate fiction and my descriptions of the genres that the Red Sky series falls into intrigue you, then definitely check out my 5 books. They are a story about a pirate captain named Riggs and his pirate crew of the Red Sky as they try to become the most notorious pirates to sail the seas, all the while Riggs tries to win the heart of Julia Hammond. as I have already said in the video. All 5 of these books are available on Amazon and Kindle, and I really hope that you enjoy them. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.